Yes, ma'am. We're going
So,
to invoke Oprah.
absolutely. And the thing that, as you know, I love doing my interviews and I've been doing them over several years.
Mm-hmm.
But as we elevate each
Mm-hmm.
time, it's always something new. It's always something
Right.
beautiful and new, and the energy is so different.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
part and parcel of my channel, that, and as well as my Facebook page and all of my interactions, I always specify that it is incredibly important that your circle be tight, that your circle be right, that your circle include people that understand your mission
Yes.
and are not there to detract from your mission,
Absolutely.
that are not there to derail your mission,
Yeah.
that are ultimate supporters and who are also on their mission. And so I have to say that you and I have had a relationship over several years
Absolutely.
that has been about growth, expansion, business based. And when we get on the phone, we don't talk about how our bills are too high or something like
Right.
general stuff or who did what and who said what. Anytime we talk, it's always about, girl, I
Yeah.
just found this new person. You got to hear this.
It's
Girl,
true.
it's this Reverend Ike. You the one that introduced me. In fact, Charmaine is the one who introduced me to Reverend Ike. I've been sending her people that have inspired me. We are constantly trading business tips, and um, if we feel like we are, spinning our wheels a little bit, we can always come and talk to one another about that and just inspire one another. Talk about spiritual readings, like just whatever it is, we are always on that.
Yeah.
And that to me is like the epitome of the relationship that I try to share with others. Why my circle may be small, but it is on purpose.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
so, though I know most of you all are with us or with, us from my Facebook page. And so I did do an introduction to Charmaine on my Facebook page. But I do want you to share a little bit about yourself, who you are, and just give us the essence of who is Charmaine and who is Charmaine of EssenceTree, so that you can say it in your own words, because I prefer not to say that.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Well, actually, that question should be a lot easier than what it is because for me, you're always feeling like you're every woman, and so for me, it's kind of like I think I'm a Philly girl, first and foremost. I do have to say that I've kind of lived in both worlds. Leah has heard me talk about this a whole lot. Actually, I was born in a housing development in Philadelphia. And so it was always so inspiring. Like someone like Jill Scott came out of North Philadelphia. I was from the same, born in the same area where Jill Scott came from. And she's just so full of light and everything. But in reality, it's a really interesting place of a lot of dynamics. And so, luckily, and I give all praises to my parents for everything. My father was able to sort of pull himself out of that arena. Took us to the suburbs. I went and actually lived with my father at the age of 8. Um, After having been born and raised again in that environment. And he was probably him and my stepmother were my first models of business excellence. In that my father, and I want to say from a health perspective as well, because my father worked for GNC, General Nutrition Center.
Okay.
Which was like the Whole Foods of its time.
Right.
And that was a huge chain, health food chain. That was the whole craze of supplements and everything. And so he was like a store manager for GNC, worked for them for years, and eventually was promoted to a regional director, and then promoted to have his own franchise. So that was his own franchise, his first business. And then since then, he's been a serial entrepreneur. So I give all praises to my parents for really setting the mold. But for me, sort of growing up in an environment where my father was probably, in our family, were probably the only black macrobiotics anyone has ever heard of in the US.
Mm-hmm.
And so that is a whole culture of yin and yang. It's an Asian based culture, interesting enough. We're completely African American, I
Mm-hmm.
will say,
Mm-hmm.
but it's an Asian based culture that gave my father a sense of balance. So he sort of encouraged all of us, my mom, our the whole family, to kind of come up in this way of balance and healthy eating and this whole philosophy of a holistic philosophy. So later in life, it's like went through that, went on, went to an Ivy League school. So I'm a nerd at heart. So I
Mm.
always have to mention that. So kind of
Mm-hmm.
girl from North Philly, I'm also a nerd. And after graduating school, moved to the New York area, and I found Queen Afua, who was my first.
Mm-hmm.
Her and another spiritual teacher were my first forays into how you blend. I already had the background, I think, in more of like a naturopathic sort of way,
Mm-hmm.
but then how you tie in femininity and spiritual development and listening to yourself at a core level.
Mm.
So I was blessed to go through her Sacred Woman initiation and worked with another spiritual teacher there who was like magnificent. And so it really, it was from that experience, from those first 20 something years of my life, that really formed who I am today. So today, I am a mother, happily a mother of a daughter of a 10-year-old. I'm a wife, and I've been married for 13 years. Been
Mm.
with my husband for about 20 something years. So I always count that.
Mm.
But I am someone who strives to provide a sense of strength, balance, empowerment, and
Mm.
celebration for women in particular. Um, Encouraging us, my whole thing is like encouraging us to remember that which we've forgotten. And I feel like a lot of times with women, we don't know who we are. We're
Mm-hmm.
unaware of our greatness.
Mm-hmm.
We're just kind of floating around, putting our sense of agency into other people's hands. We're not taking control of our life. We're not manifestors. We're not co-creators. We're not living according to this kind of defined sense of self. And
Mm.
so all of that being encapsulated into what I do today, which I am a business owner, but I very much look at EssenceTree as more of a movement and a lifestyle, because it's really, EssenceTree is about it's a holistic lifestyle movement,
Mm-hmm.
and that we are all about celebrating women, empowering women. The parts of it of EssenceTree has been in place for a long time, but what we're most known for is our skincare products,
Mm-hmm.
and it's an acclaimed luxury superfood infused skincare line. We're all about giving women the skin, hair, and body of her dreams.
Mm.
At the same time, we're supporting her life and her generational wealth goals through our holistic education, our wellness programs, as well as our Beautiful Life Specialist program,
Mm.
where we're training community leaders, educators, and healers to go in and provide these solutions to women. Because I feel that if we have the information, first and foremost, and if
Mm-hmm.
we have the support, that nothing will stop us. We'll be
Right.
able to become our best selves.
Right.
And so, long answer.
No, it
But
was
that's a deep
fabulous.
question.
No, it is.
That's a
No, but
deep
I mean, I think
question.
it's very important when, because I know it helps me also, but when we have to actually define ourselves and do it in a succinct manner, it allows us to reposition and reframe and then get a little bit of understanding about how we've changed since the last time we defined ourselves.
Yeah.
You see what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And so for
Yeah.
me, I was enjoying the process of your defining yourself. So
Yes.
with Charmaine's company, I was gonna also do an unboxing
That'd be
because
so
I wanted to show you
fun.
all what it is that she does and the years that the quality that she has put into her company. And because her company, her products are also found in many stores, including Whole Foods, this is something that is something I'm proud of that she has, put in the work and the time and designed her destiny as per her chosen art, in her skill, in her ingredients, in her recipes for natural body products. And, she hasn't been at this since yesterday. She's been at this for a very long time. And so, with my recent birthday coming up, as well as my engagement, she gave me this box. And I was so excited about it, but I said, I'm going to wait because I definitely want to unbox it with my friends. So, this is her boxing and her packaging. So these are the sets, right? This is available on the website?
Yes, it is.
Okay. All right. So.
And it's our winter skincare collection.
And I so need it because my skin is so dry. And my skin is dry even in the summer. So it is absolutely critical. And I'm a great fan of her scrub bars because my skin is so dry that it barely any, like shea butter, all of that. Like I don't know what it is about your scrub bar that when I use that, and of course it's the Sat Raw one, but it allows my heels to stay nourished and moisturized. Beautiful. And I've not found another product that can really get my skin right. So I wanted to unbox this. So this is a calendula hemp oil blend with lemongrass and lavender oil. So, I mean, the lighting isn't good. I don't know if this even helps, but this is an oil. So what would I use this for?
That oil is in most of our oils. You can use them for the entire body. That one, actually, I'm wearing it now. I love it as a beard oil. You can wear it, and I say a beard oil for your honeys. But as ourselves, tonight I'm not wearing any foundation. I put on my toner and I put on that oil because hemp oil is a nice matte appearance oil. So if you do wear foundation over an oil, which a lot of my clients, they choose either not to wear because their foundation over the oil, they'll put the oil on at night and then just wipe it off and wear their foundation. But this is something during the winter time when you want to wear your oil during the day, you can wear something that's that light on your face under your foundation, and you can just put it all over your skin. Hemp is the plant oil with the highest amount of essential fatty acids, which are essential for restoring and giving health and nourishment to your skin.
Okay. It smells so good. I'm such a fan. Oh my God, this lemongrass is everything. Oh my Lord. See, now this is that other cream that I have. And it says on here that this is a nutrient rich with unrefined hemp oil, organic herbs, aloe juice for dry skin and eczema. So this is calendula hemp. And I absolutely adore this. Oh my gosh. And so when you open this, oh gosh, it is so rich. And I use the other one, the Sat Raw that I have now. And in fact, I have it on my skin now. Oh my God. This is like spreading luxury, divine. Oh my God. This is so rich. So this is for, would this be for like problem skin areas or just all over every day? Because I'd be using this all over every day.
Absolutely. That whole line came from Maya's eczema. You remember she had really bad eczema as a child. So it's specifically geared towards dry skin and eczema, but anyone can use it because for wintertime, it's helpful. Face, skin. I have customers who put it in their hair and their children's hair.
This is so rich. Like, to be honest, I've had a lot of different formulas, but the way in which this feels on the skin, it just feels like money. Honey.
We love that.
Absolutely. It is so rich and oh my gosh. So I love this. So now this is cinnamon patchouli soap. So what is this soap? What is?
So the soaps are also superfood soaps. They're made with organic shea butter. They're made with palm oil, olive oil, coconut oil. And that one is blended with essential oils of cinnamon, patchouli. It has some nice Moroccan clay in it.
Oh my Lord.
And so this is a nice deep cleansing one. This one, I was thinking about Eric when I packed this box for you. So I was like, if she wanted to share,
right?
I know that's a nice male inspired.
I don't know
scent.
if I want to. I don't be sharing my stuff. I don't. Not this.
But it's a nice one to take to the gym because it's really good if you work out. If you're kind of sweaty, it's going to, that cinnamon and patchouli is really good for that. And cinnamon and patchouli is very grounding and warming.
Yes,
and oshun with the cinnamon.
With the cinnamon, and patchouli is a money
oil.
Money. But I mean, the thing that I love about your formulas is that, I mean, I'm not playing, y'all. Like the fragrance is so rich and deep and layered that I just be sitting up here smelling. Oh my God! And you know, I've created rituals behind your Sat Ra.
Which you should share that. Have you shared that with anyone yet?
I'm happily engaged.
I love that one. Well, you could have done it for him too.
I shall actually.
Yeah.
I shall. So, because honey, when them dating days were live and in effect, her Sat Ra oil. In fact, I should get the bottle here because I absolutely love it. So this is a Bliss Moisture Bar, handcrafted artesian exfoliating scrub bars made with food grade organic ingredients. Cocoa, shea butter, sugar, botanicals, herbs, and flowers. Scent may also contain clay, coconut, and hemp oils. How to use. After cleansing, gently massage bar into moist skin. Rinse and pat dry. See, this is the bar that I use for my feet.
That was the one. And I gave you the oshun one. I know you love Sat Ra, so I think I gave you an oil or something. Didn't I give a couple things?
I don't,
because you got like 2 oils. One was like your birthday.
I think so.
Was engagement.
Yes.
So you got like a whole set.
I wish I had.
She loves oil.
Oh my gosh! I wish I had brought. I'm about to go get up and get the oil. So tell them about. Let me smell this because I always gotta smell stuff. It's so clean and pure. Oh, I even right now I'm just feeling it on. It feels like I'm just ready to go take another shower. Because look at this. Oh, it's so. Cause see, already my arm is dry. You can see the difference in my arm, like over here. But just I will rub this and it is so amazing. I don't know if y'all can see this oiling up, but just the bar itself is so oil. Look at that. Oh my God. Does this have lemongrass in it too?
That one doesn't, but it was near some of the other products, so it may smell like it. But that one is like vanilla, cinnamon, orange.
And it's got, what is this herb in here, or this flower? What is that?
We use organic rose petals. We use chamomile flowers. We also use oat, which is very soothing.
Oh my gosh. Well, you know what? I hate to get up, but I'm like, I gotta just, because this has been so essential in my life. Let me go get this oil, because I got like 3 of them. And I just want to show everybody my absolute favorite divine oil. And all right, so y'all can clearly see this one is used up. So it's only half full. But I absolutely love, this is my absolute favorite. She's got like families of oils. So this is my absolute favorite. Let me get it here. Sat Ra. And you can see the little flower in the bottom, but I swear, I put this in my bath. I've created full rituals.
Are you serious? That?
No, this.
Oh, okay. I was about to say that next one because I have a story about that.
I'm about to. So then she gave me this for my birthday, which is called Heaven. And this oil, not oil, this, oh my God, this child, I cannot.
Thank you. I saw some people say something.
So,
they had questions.
I know, and it goes away. So I gotta. But I'm just gonna layer this on top. When I talk to you about the luscious, buttery.
I'm so glad.
This Heaven though, and then it's layered on top of this other lemongrass. So, hunty, now I got 2. That's
a nice combination.
Layer it. So when you go about your day and you got this luxury cream butter. Look at this. I don't know if y'all see all the melanin right here, just handling this situation. I don't know if y'all understand what's going on. And imagine if you are going about your day and just trying to do you, and you just all
got the glow, the goddess glow. Yes,
it's the goddess glow. It's about that light. And in my ring, just like, I don't know if y'all noticed, but I'm just saying.
Absolutely, honey, it's gorgeous. It is gorgeous. You just need to be like this through the whole interview.
Because I said, Connie, Connie was like, when I get my ring, I'm just gonna sit here for 45 minutes.
Exactly. You just have to do a ring video.
I'm just not even gonna say anything. I'm just gonna sit here.
Yes.
So anywho, I'm just saying. So I was so excited to do this unboxing because I have been buying her products for years. I'm not playing. And if you see her scrubs, and it's so prettily displayed in Whole Foods. And someone had asked, so which cities are your products in Whole Foods in right now?
Right now, we're in 3 states in the South region. So if you are in Georgia, Tennessee, or Alabama, you can get us in a Whole Food stores somewhere in your region. Otherwise, right now, you can go to our website. We are working at, we just got a salesperson that we're working with expanding as far as the other stockist locations, but our website is probably your safest bet if you're anywhere outside of the South.
All right. Mm-hmm. And we do have a fabulous coupon code or discount code for Level Up Charm Schoolers. And so it's one of the many perks of being in the Level Up Charm School is that you have coupon codes to luxury high-end products. So for those of you who are in the Level Up Charm School group, definitely just, I don't know, put a post in there so that I can follow up with you after this particular video. And if not, definitely join the Charm School. I will put the link in the description box after the video. But we always provide, the best that we can to support our luxury lifestyle. So I'm excited. I want to jump right in to my host of questions. And if I absolutely happen to miss some of your questions because they speed through so quickly in the little thing here, the chat thing, then I'll definitely follow up afterwards. So please forgive us if we are not seeing. Well, if you push it, it.
Okay, so it brings up.
Are you shipping
internationally? Rosemary, you could definitely send me a if you're on Facebook, I'm at EssenceTree Life. You can kind of message me on Facebook about that. We do ship to Canada and we've shipped to Europe, so it just depends on where you are. But you can message me about that and I'll be happy to help you with that. So absolutely, thank you.
And also, she's in the UK.
Yeah, we definitely have shipped to the UK, certainly. Okay. Mm-hmm.
And I do want to mention really, really briefly that this gear right here, this fabulous dress, I bought at Axum Culture.
So beautiful.
Which is another girlfriend of ours has a culture and African gear, African products, Black-owned business. And so she is Axum, AXUM Culture here in Atlanta. She does ship. I believe she even ships internationally. She has a lot of great products, a lot of great jewelry, custom designs from Ghana, Kenya, all over the world. And so I love to support her when I can, Sis Elijah. And so I actually will be doing a live from her store at some point when she has time. So I have to approach her about that. All right. So let's get to this, you all. And again, thank you all for your patience. Question 1. Tell us about your passion that fuels your woman spiritpreneurship. And in that, describe what spiritpreneurship means for you, because I think that's something you coined quite a while ago. But describe your passion, or tell us about your passion that fuels your business.
Mm-hmm. It's a little bit personal. There's a lot of people who go into business. They have this kind of core thing that's driving and pushing them on the inside.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times it's something to do with like childhood or something. But for me, I think because I was talking about my upbringing and seeing women go through so very much, so very much. Whereas I felt like I saw a lot of pain on my maternal mother side of the family, saw a lot of pain on my stepmother side of the family. And there was something in me that just wanted to be very protective of women. And when I went through, and it's so funny because it was very spiritual, but in college, we were studying it, and I'm a big believer in just kind of like freedom of religion. So I love studying different cultures and different belief systems and spiritual systems. And in college, raised a Christian, but just always felt this pull towards a more matriarchal sense of spirituality because in my faith in the Christian tradition, I couldn't find enough of it for myself. So I always felt like I was looking for something, and that's where it started to come up that there were these queen mothers in Ghana, and there was these matriarchal based belief systems in Africa, and I was like, "Are you serious?" So it started this whole desire for me to learn more about that. That in addition to like Native American nature based sort of systems, I always felt pulled towards that. So what kind of motivates me today and what keeps me passionate today is still that same core sense of wanting women to be their best, to live their best lives, to be protected, to be safe, but also to be almost like revered. You know what I mean? Like I want every woman to have that feeling of Oprah or whatever their dream is. Whether it's to be celebrated for their intellect, whether it should be celebrated for their beauty, but I just have this sense of just wanting that for everybody because as mothers, as women, whether or not you choose to have children or not, we become the role model and example from which everyone follows. Right. And so the way we eat determines how our children eat and determines their health. The way we believe and carry ourselves determines how they carry themselves, That's how they go out into the world. That's so right. We are the great cosmic womb, the spiritual womb, the physical womb from which our children and generations would it dictates the future. So if we can get ourselves in a space of strength and beauty and power, then that lifts up everyone around us, our husbands, our children, etc. And so for spiritpreneurship, a few years back, probably about 5 or 6 years ago now, I started this spiritpreneurship masterclass, and it was so beautiful. The reason for that class or the purpose behind it is that there are very distinct ways that men do business. It's a very masculine driven way that they do business. It's just very much like I'm going to drive. I'm going to be hardcore or I'm going to do this. And I think there's also ways that women do business. Now I believe in, a synthesis of both the masculine and the feminine. So not to say one without the other, but I believe that the way we do business is very much spirit led. We're listening to these small thoughts inside of us where we have these yearnings that's probably been playing in the back of our minds since we were kids. The way we play with dolls, we were visioning like we want this type of marriage. Our hobbies from the time we were children basically was always speaking to us. So that way, if we could be more in touch with ourselves. So as an entrepreneur, your success comes in being strong spiritually, but also acting like a boss, handling your business professionally well, going after what you want, but at the same time, at the end of the day, you just have to make sure everything is in alignment. We don't have the luxury. My father had the luxury. He could work 40 hours. I'm not even 40 hours a week, but he can work 20-hour days or however many times because his wife was home taking care of the children. So what happens when we are responsible for bringing these 7-figure businesses at the same time we have children, husbands, mothers, household, we have everybody relies upon us. So they're responsible for carrying a smaller portion of the circle where we are responsible for really carrying it all. And I think that's a way to not drive ourselves crazy, to not drive ourselves to the grave early, to keep everybody in balance. We have to do it from a state of a synthesis of keeping the spirit and our internal balance in place And then from there, that dictates our goals and everything. But there's a way to do that. And so during that program, we were really finding that secret sauce for each woman. Because depending upon your goal, how many children you have, if you're married, if you're single, right now in my 20s, I can pull all nighters all the time. And that's what I did before I was married, before I had a child. But right now, the way entrepreneurship looks for me is very different. It's very different from how it looked in my 20s. And so that's what we had to do. Like I was mentoring each of the women that we could find that secret sauce, using tried and true business procedures at the same time, really getting them to tap more into their inner self during the process.
So you raise a good question, which takes me a little bit off of the determined path, but it seems like to me that that is such a special balance. I guess I was going to ask that further down, but women who are not even in business, in other words, who are not running their own businesses, are still overworked, overwhelmed,
yes,
with a full-time job,
absolutely,
plus the job of home, which is another glorious full-time job. And so there are so many women that we deal with, like even in the Level Up Charm School, and various other positively oriented groups, who are in transition. So in other words, they're either married or not, they have children, they have the dream of creating their own businesses. And so they are doing now 3 jobs, which is creating the business, doing everything for that, full-time job. They might even be in school, and they still have the home job.
Right.
And so that has always been something that inspires me to share more, to do more, to assist women in understanding or navigating that when you're trying to do so much with very little time. And so, first of all, I was going to ask, at the point when you got married, were you still working outside of the home?
I was still working outside of the home up until I got pregnant. So probably up into probably the first year to year and a half of our marriage. I was still working, had a job outside the home.
Okay. So then talk to us about, because my focus now in the channel and the energy and the groups that I'm in, very much family oriented and really promoting the positive aspects of marriage and how it can enhance clearly women's life as well as family life and everything else. But what was that conversation like? In other words, when you married, Kenneth, did you have that discussion that, okay, once we get pregnant, you won't be working anymore. You're going to be, focusing on that or doing whatever else. How did that come about?
I think for us, we didn't have the conversation in advance. I never felt like I would stop working because EssenceTree is busier than any job I've ever had. And so I think for us, it was a little bit different, whereas our conversation was more in line of like, I told him when I left corporate America, I worked at an investment bank in New York, worked literally on Wall Street. I wasn't a banker, I will say that, but I worked at an investment bank in the industry. It was really important to me to, once I left New York, everything that I do from here on in would be something I do out of passion. Everything, and that was clear. That was what we made clear to him. I was like, anything that I pick up will be something that I love doing. I would refuse to no longer do anything that I'm just doing for a job.
Right.
Not to say he agreed with that. So understand, we were in our 20s, and I think I might have navigated that road a little bit differently if I married later. Okay. But at the same time, he was on board with that. He was on board with that at the time. Now, my husband is very practical, as you know, and he looks at money in a very different way. He looks at prosperity as a very different way. So his whole thing was, he just did not want the stress of carrying the entire load. My husband is not traditional in that sense. So he's not the type where he wanted me to stay home. And I actually will probably work for a really long time, but in a different way because I love what I'm doing. So I don't consider it work. I don't consider it work. So for me, and it was a friend of mine who was an entrepreneur who told me, I think the biggest problem was that before SSG started making money, I would feel really bad about things. Like here, my husband is bringing this home. And again, he's not the traditional type. He's not the type to say, "Okay, it's my pleasure, enjoy." He was just kind of like, "Well, okay then, how things going over there?"
Right. Oh, okay.
And that was his type, his personality type. And so I was confiding in another business owner friend of mine, and I was like, I'm starting to feel a kind of way here. He's not doing it, but I know he would have liked me to have the same corporate salaries I had in New York when he met me. I was almost at six figures.
Right.
So that's a whole different experience than, okay, now we're just going to do this very creative venture right now.
Right.
And a lot of love pouring from it, a lot of support, but in the beginning it was different. And so she was like, let me tell you something. She basically had a moment with me. It was like every ounce of energy and attention you give that will be for him, for your daughter, for your future. Don't ever let anyone let you feel anything other than that. And I think that was my kind of changing thing of how I viewed starting a business in those early years and everything like that.
So in other words, she was saying don't discount or
yes, don't discount
your value or what the value that you're providing to the family.
Future value. The future value, because in the early stages of it depends on the type of business. And so that's the beauty of having that mentorship program with the Spiritpreneurship program, that this was years later. So I would advise women to do it. I went into it very organically. It was something I loved doing. I was volunteering for a while. I had a couple different positions, but EssenceTree was something I did. It was a labor of love. So I just was giddy. I was almost like an artist creating things. And people were loving it. So I was doing that. We founded the Goddess Gathering group.
Yes.
So we had this whole kind of beautiful, kind of synergistic love and support. So it was a very creative, just energizing time. It probably wasn't a lot of money coming in those early days. But once she got my head right on that, I was like, you're absolutely right. Then everything switched. And so I started being a lot more strategic with it so as to support the household in a different way.
So supporting the household. And so one of the things that, as you know, with my own personal history, that I always thought that it was very inspiring and interesting that you were able to have your marriage and still have your family life as well as your business, your own personal endeavors. And so that's one of the things that, if a woman so chooses and has that interest, it's something that I really do like to, discuss and promote, in the sense that how different is life when a woman doesn't have that opportunity, or when she's not in the mindset of being married, but yet still having to do so many jobs at once, working a full-time day job, as well as trying to pursue her own goals, as well as, having family life. And so at this point in my juncture, where I'm definitely not interested in doing all of that at once, where for me, I'm fortunate enough to have a fiance who agrees with, my current ideals, which is, first of all, I choose not to work because the home life is so important.
Yes.
Being there and being available for the children that are still growing up, and not having such a heavy outside of the home influence on the children, and giving them that opportunity to explore and exist within a home that has a more traditional setting, where they feel like they are first, that they're not a second or afterthought
Yes.
to everybody else's schedule. To me, after having done the opposite, this was very important for me for this younger set, because I do have the two older ones. But I guess the question that I wanted to ask was that I know you don't have the experience of the opposite, but within your being able to, once you did get pregnant, being able to step aside from the day job and just, deal with your pregnancy and then build your own business, what, in your opinion, has been some of the top and key benefits to your child that she has gained from your not having to burn both ends of the candle in terms of being outside of the home plus inside of the home?
That's powerful, and I want to say this, what you were saying before. I think it's very important to be open and honest with whoever you decide to go marry, whoever you marry, whoever is your husband, I should say, because it's a partnership, just like a business partnership. It's very important to be yourself, and so I think as women, don't present one image before the marriage, and then all of a sudden he sees the real you afterwards. Be your sweetest selves, be your beautiful selves, but be your honest selves too. And I think with my husband, because he knew me, I could comfortably say to him, I'm not doing anything else. Right. Just the chore of doing everything is going to be a passion project or something I love. And secondly, I told him clearly about EssenceTree. I was like, Spirit put this on me. Spirit put this on me, and if there's nothing else you know about me, I'm always going to follow that. That's right. Now, and the priorities, family first, God first, as they say, spirit first, family, and then your business. In the real world, there's many times where you're working and your family misses you. So I'm gonna say this, because sometimes I'm like, well, I get kind of busy sometimes. But with a friend of mine, her mother is now a senator, and she said my mom never made that perfect balance, but what she saw from her mom made her go into politics. Okay. But she said it was never that same sense of balance of a mom, even though her mom wasn't working a whole lot of hours, but the whole political process and this and that. She was like, really, she did the best she could. Her mom is a wonderful mother. She's a wonderful woman. And so what she took from her and what Maya takes from me, I think is being a go-getter, very passionate. If I have an idea, I'm most likely going to act on it. Right. Believe in what she hears me say all the time is that excellence is your best friend. Like, you're not going to do anything halfway. We're not going to say your room is clean. And so we have these in my house. And my husband's like, but she's so 10 years old. And so we're grooming her from a spirit of love and tenderness, because sometimes I was turning into my mother, right, both mothers, and being more harsh. But I said, you know what? In this day and age, we're in our 40s, and we know what worked and what didn't work. That's right. So we are operating from a state of goddesshood. And so, not that my standards have gone down, but that I can say it all and I can inspire her from a space of love without falling off my seat, my throne, or what have you. And so that's what I'm cultivating. That she sees mom as a hard charger. True indeed. That's who I am. Right. But at the same time, she's we have this tenderness and this closeness, and she sees that all that I'm doing is really for you. It's for you. It's for you and your dad. Yeah. So then, one of the challenges that I face now, even, and then I consider in the future when I am able to focus full time on, well, that portion of the full time on exactly what I want to do when not working for others, etc. So there are certain things that I put in place in order to catch myself. Because I think a lot of times when we are following certain gurus, that they seem to present this whole lifestyle that life never gets too busy, or that they never fall off of certain rituals that they talk about, that it's always this way and it's always in place. But the reality is that we often
though well-intentioned, don't always do everything and fit everything into a day that we want to. And so I do know from knowing you for many years that that's always been an inspiration to me, that you do have certain self-care things in place. So as a wife, a mother, a business owner, first, before we get into your actual rituals, what do you have any certain triggers or certain things that you have in place that allow you to catch yourself when you notice that you're not taking care of yourself so that you can be your best you? Yes. Do you have anything in place that's like an alarm clock or something that says, oh, wait a minute, it's been a minute and I'm frazzled or I'm doing too much?
That's it. And
is it something is it, what is
it's
it, health wise, or is it, you know?
Yeah. And I think it's more outlook. When we start to feel pessimistic, when you start to feel like the stressors, and it's all of a sudden we're mad at him for, like, oh my God, why is your sock in the middle of the floor?
Right. Right.
And all of a sudden your daughter, why is this book in the middle of the floor? So when you find yourself having these short, like these short tempers, or these, when you find yourself being impatient with everybody around you, it's a reflection on how you're treating yourself. So again, how we treat others is basically a reflection on what we've done for ourselves. So that tells me, if I'm constantly yelling or upset by the smallest of things, it's time for you to sit down and don't do anything but pour into you. And so this time of year, I always get off balance, even though it's a more of a blessing season, which is an intentional classification that I give to it. I'm always, like, I don't know the last time that I had my bath. Once it gets towards fourth quarter, I'm like, when's the last time I took my bath? And I do my showers. I'm very intentional about my showers. And today I did a nice Oshun scrub and Oshun oil. But it's nothing like my real rituals would be soaking in a tub and having that whole rebirth experience. And the showers can do it too. So we have little shortcuts that we have to employ to kind of keep us going. And then once we have the opportunity, we get fully immersive into the deeper ritual of it all. But usually it's just how I'm starting to view my life, that I know that, of course, when you're tired, and of course, when you start to see your skin not looking great, you're like, okay, when's the last time I exfoliated you? When's the last time this? But my most important is just how I treat my husband and others. That's how I really, like, okay, yeah, it's clear to everyone right now that you have not been poured into your own cup. It's clear to the world right now.
So do they normally tell you, or you catch yourself first? Or is it a combination?
Now I catch myself. Now, but I think when you're getting to know yourself, this whole self-discovery process,
right,
you don't see yourself in the same way. So they're telling you, like, Mom, like, oh my gosh. And then my husband is like, oh my gosh. And I'm like, y'all just not doing what y'all supposed to do. I wouldn't be yelling.
Right.
If y'all were doing what y'all was supposed to do. Which is true.
Right.
Which is true. But the whole point is, we still have our standards.
Right.
But at the same time, we can be goddesses. And I've seen some mothers do it so nicely. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying they have to be that way 100% of the time, because to me, life is a divine dance. There's this divine imperfection in place where, if you think of Eshu and the representation of it, there's always something coming in there to kind of spin things around and turn it and twist it. So you have to be nimble and you have to be flexible and ride the wave. So I don't expect things to just be like, like the winding stream. I'm probably expecting, and mainly because of our career choices. Because maybe certain, like if I were a housewife and maybe a socialite, where I chose peace and I chose tranquility, then maybe I would expect that. But it wasn't. It's not my choice right now. And so I'm expecting big rewards. I'm expecting a little bit of highs and some lows in there too, as I kind of get it all navigated and everything.
So then tell me, what, in your best experience, Describe to me, because I love doing that, because that's like really critical for me right now, is my self-care rituals, which I'm completely inconsistent about. But I love to, at least if I'm aware and if I'm speaking it into existence, that means I'm always working towards it.
Yes.
So walk us through, and we still haven't gone through your actual bath ritual, which you are famous for, but walk us through, in a perfect world, as a mother, a wife, a business owner who's really working into millionaire status in all of your dreams and goals. What does your life look like when you are absolutely in the flow? You are making millions, and you're still a mother and a wife and everything else. What does your day look like? I mean, to me, I'm ready to get my goosebumps, like from the morning to the night. What does your day look like?
I think for me, I'm gonna speak to this because I think self-care happens at every point of communication with yourself. Self-care, to me, the number one way is, again, your self-talk and how you view life. With that being said, my self-care in that area is so good because I'm so happy right now. Like my life, I'm so happy, and I still feel like I'm at this point of, like, because of all that I want to do. You may feel like you're here because the goal may be at sky level, but I am so happy. You know what I mean? So that's something that's key to it, or that's a goal that you want to me, where 7 figure, 8 figures, and beyond. That happiness is that, to me, to have that is a huge accomplishment. But what it looks like, girl, and I'm glad we talking about this because I'm ready to redo my bathroom and my room. That's my holiday, my Christmas gift for myself. Like, I'm redoing it all. It's gonna be very feminine, husband, and you're gonna be okay with this. But you got to get some shears and flowers and all that. You just
about to get all this.
It's okay, but that's what we doing. Right. That's my gift to myself. But I think waking up first and foremost. So it's just giving thanks to be alive and on this side of things, and just talking to your ancestors, talking to, for me, the first thing I do when I get up is I talk to spirit. So I have my spiritual conversation. But I think that, to be even more specific, the very first thing is to greet your Ori, which is the name for it, and a religion of the Yoruba people, or a way of life of the Yoruba people, called Ifa. Your Ori is your higher self, and it's believed that that was a part of you that was there before you were born, and you chose your parents, and you know the whole thing. You chose your parents, and you sat with the Most High in heaven, and you said, "This is what I am here to learn. This is my journey for this lifetime." So they say, before you can sow anything, your Ori was the one that was there with God. Nothing else was there but your Ori and you. So there's this whole thing that you are the divinity, and many people say it in all different ways. But that really is the first, because if you can consult us, and it's like, okay, that is the guide, as if I'm going left, right, forward, or back. And so waking up in the morning for me is having this divine conversation, getting out of, first, before I get out of bed, giving thanks to be alive, just thankful for the blessings that are coming, thankful for my family and my health and the divine health of everything around me, and all of that. Get out of bed, and if you have your personal altar set up, and being able to commune with your Ori, like, these are some very beautiful things that you set that just are very personal to you, that you've activated and charged, whether it's from experience. This is like something I have, like, I still wish, I don't know where it is, like, with my first spiritual teacher, I'm like, he had given me this Ogun, like, inklet, and I wish I knew where it was. Any of his stuff, I've moved so many times, I'm like, I wish I. But just seeing it, to say a very altar that's personal to you, that's like the key of making sure that your life is activated and on track, by sitting there. And just, for me, it's sitting with, right now, I don't have a specific altar, but I have the vision boards, and you saw those vision boards. And I just spent today writing down, just kind of doing an outpour and putting all these post-it notes up about what I'm working on now, like what stage in my life I am now, and just understanding like this is my manifesto right now.
Yes.
And so sitting with those type of things, sitting with an altar and just being able to just meditate, talking to yourself, I'm so proud of you. I'm
Right.
so proud of this destiny that you've chosen. And that's part of the happiness. Like this destiny that I've chosen is damn fun.
Yes.
It's been good.
Yes.
I get to wake up every morning and choose to live the way I want to live. If I want to make money, throw out some products. If I don't want to make money that day, I can still make, well, not to, if I don't want to be active in my circle or online that day, I can still bring in prosperity.
That's right.
By just enjoying that day with my family. So I was like, you know what?
Right.
I am so happy with my Ori. My Ori has done me well. My Ori has just been everything in this whole process. So being able to just sit there and just marvel at what you came to do, and then from there moving over to your ancestor altar. So we do have that set up, and sometimes I just sit there and talk to my mother-in-law because she was my shero. I love everybody, and sometimes when I say that I feel bad because my grandma was like my heart.
Right.
So I still have that for my grandmother, but my mother-in-law, oh my gosh, now she was the one. She was just like cook, make magic appear, and just fix a toilet, and oh baby, and just and stay in her queen role. And that's why I was, and my husband, I would feel bad, like your mother got it all figured out. He was like, right, you're comparing yourself to a 70-year-old woman,
right, right.
But I was like, but she's in her 70s now, baby.
Right.
You didn't see mom when we were growing up. And so understanding that the growth in which we meet and being okay with that, because we are all going through that, right? The you in your 70s, we're always getting better and better and better. But I'm glad to have seen that. So now, just like our girls, they see us today, and this is the us that they will always remember.
Yes.
And so that's why when I think of my mother-in-law, I was like, yeah, you told me that this was going to be a lot of work, and you told me I'm going to have to juggle, but I think I'm doing a good job. Like, you know, just having those conversations with your ancestors, and they're designed to be these advocates. So, okay, help me do this, help me to save more money, help me to do this. Grandma, you were so good. My grandmother probably made minimum wage, but she worked a couple jobs, and my grandmother died with savings. Like, I don't know how much it was, but jars full of money, bank accounts. And so she made magic happen with how she kind of took a dime and stretched it and all this. And you know, that generation was just so magical.
Right.
So sitting with that, like, they were my divine teachers. And so saying that, so you're moving along this path, you take your bath in the morning, and whatever intent you want for that, whether you're following the moon cycles, whether you're thinking about, I have a business meeting that day, then that determines what ritual, but it's always luxurious, it's always prosperous, and it always has this sense of calm, no hurried or anything, because you need that to feed your soul, to still you, to prepare you for what you're about to encounter. You do your Satwa ritual if you're needing that added power. Oshun has been with me a whole lot since the commercial, so everything I'm doing is very much talking to her. So I'm like, yes, ma'am. So I'm putting on my jewelry and just feeling her and loving on myself and just feeling Oshun, and then recognizing we were talking about this, she got everything she ever wanted.
Yes.
Everything.
Yes.
And they knew she didn't play, but she was always Oshun. Right. She never became the other. Right. She was always Oshun. And so there's this thought of like, we are navigating life, but to me the biggest challenge is to always be, to try as hard as possible to be that center coreness of who we are. You know what I mean? And I think for me, I always, and whether it's my Gemini nature or what, I do kind of feel like I can be any and every woman. But my happiest, my strongest, my most solid point is when I'm navigating from that point of just serene beauty, calm strength. And then I turn it up as I need to, and I can dial it down as I need to. But just kind of coming together to be a little bit more of the quiet force and storm works well for keeping my husband happy when I'm happy and calm. He's like, "Oh, you smiling? Oh, you this and you that." My daughter just like, "Yeah, ma." Oh, so but when I turn it up and become the storm, it's so powerful. And I think a lot of times as women, we dial it up so much that it just becomes like it's like the wildfire. So then everyone is stung, the trees are dead, everything happened. Right. And I think about that. There are times there will be times where we need to become that, but most 99% of the time I don't. And I can still get what I want. And I can still be at peace because when I turn into that storm, then I need to recover and I need to like okay, okay, baby, let's go and let's you okay now. Let's go and calm yourself down and and you know. And so for me, I feel so much happier when I'm on my core thing. So okay, so going into the day, so you still are out there making. I want to be like Jeff Bezos. It's like you sneeze and I made $5 million or whatever. You know what I mean?
I'm saying for real though.
Every point of that. So I think going into your day, you've been able from your bath to celebrate yourself to kind of get in with whatever your spiritual selves are, your goddesses, God, Jesus, whatever those archetypes are in your bath. That's your time to kind of get cleansed and rebirth and kind of get closer to them. So you're in that womb, you're in that cosmic, or not so much cosmic, but the physical womb of the great mother, your mother would have you, and that's your time to just kind of be replanted and reseeded. You come out into the world and you again, to me, my bath always gave me a lot of downloads. I always got a lot of downloads and continue to from bathing and meditating. And so you go out, you accomplish your day like that. But if your intent is to kind of be that prosperous magnet, then you have to make sure you're allowing for it. You're allowing for it. Because to me, that's the level at which I am now where I feel like I want to be that magnet. I'm magnetizing myself, but sometimes I think that we kind of like, am I ready for one more thing on my plate? You know what I mean? Like in the way that the reality of my life, I'm juggling. I got the products. Again, you got your family dynamic. I got wholesale clients. I have web clients. Then I have the Beautiful Life Specialist program. Then I have Goddess Gathering. So it's almost like just want to chill for a minute.
I know that's right. I know that's right. Yes.
So it's calling in spirit to say that prosperity. I need to open myself up and recalibrate, and I think that's what 2018 has been for me. Was I had taken a sabbatical, you remember, and just really had to recalibrate to say, you can, you will open yourself up to more. But it's like my whole what's the term that I'm looking for? But it's just like increasing your capacity. I remember when I was in nonprofit, it was like there would be trainings and things like that to increase capacity. So we have to go to our spiritual source and get the help we need and have our support system of strong women to increase our capacity to accept more. And a lot of times we have to feel worth it. So the self-worth thing is really huge when you're getting to each higher and higher levels. And people like myself never had a problem with self-worth except when I became an entrepreneur. Except then because it's like all eyes on me. I'm not making magic for this other company. Everything, whether it's the print jobs, this is that and other, all of that falls on my shoulders. So it can be a bit daunting. And let me let you ask your next question because that's a conversation that can go on and on. But yeah.
Wow. So I mean, you dropped so many jewels there. How would you end the day?
Oh yeah. We were talking about the perfect day. So my perfect day, I would have end of the day. I would love to have a dinner with my favorite people in the whole world, and I've always had this vision. Oprah's going to be there.
Absolutely.
Alice Walker is going to be there, and Toni Morrison. If I could have that before she passed, I think she's in her 80s or 90s now. So I don't want to put that out there. She may live to 120.
That's right.
But just saying that to say, I have these favorite people that I want to be able, after I go out there and make my millions for that day, doing things that are assisting people or giving life to people, that are uplifting people. It's a day of purpose and service.
Right.
So I'm in my mission. I'm in my spiritpreneurship as a woman. I believe in that kind of cycle of life. You come home at the end of the day, then it's about just celebrating again your your idols, and I would just love to have this dinner, this divine time where you just have everybody around you and you have your closest friends, and we're listening, we're sitting at their feet, and we're hearing them drop their jewels of their success, and then you're with your husband and your daughter, where they should be a part of that. So this
Mm-hmm.
perfect day, they're very much infused in it. So of course the breakfast and everything is with them. And at the end of the day, we coming back like marveling again at like this was a great damn day. We have a great damn life. We have so
Mm-hmm.
much love, and we're sharing that. We're sharing that. We're receiving it, and we're giving it. And so,
So that sounds like gratitude for sure. The
mm-hmm.
acts of gratitude.
Yes.
So then, what would you say that? And what? Well, let me backtrack because it was when you were talking about that glorious dinner.
Mm.
With like Oprah and them. It
Oh.
reminds me of because I do a lot of studying of success magnets and those who are at the top of their career or their field. And there was, I think that brother's name is Paul Brunson, I want to say. And he wrote an article a while ago about the top 5 or top 10 things that highly successful people do. And one of them was, and he'd gotten this information from interviewing Oprah and various Steve Jobs, various other ones, if I'm not mistaken. But he had mentioned that one of the things that they do is that their life is built around the creative force of ideologies or ideas or intellectual property, so that they are at a stage where they're no longer in the worker bee mode.
Exactly.
But that it's the ideas that they have that make them money, and not labor that makes them money.
Exactly.
And so one of the things that was really powerful is that, which we do it ourselves, but that even when people on this level have dinners or lunches with family and friends, etc., um, it's always idea generating sessions. And because their circle is very pointed, very intentional, they don't just hang with riffraff or just people that don't have it together or whatever. Their friends are generally people on their level or above their level that they're still trying to get to. Their mentors are their friends. And so when they go out and eat or have people over, they're like brainstorming sessions. These are the type of people that are living their passion. They're living their life goals. And so their mind space is centered around what fuels them, what brings that passion out. Right. And they love bouncing off of each other and talking about ideas and talking about what they just learned, and wouldn't it be great if we were doing this, or what about that, or have you heard about this new thing? And they just feed off of one another all the time. And so they don't get together to small talk or gossip or whatever. It's like they automatically know this is like we're going to bounce off of each other and give each other that energy and ideas. And hey, have you thought about this? I noticed this other show you did the other day. Da, da, da. Have you heard about this new program or this, that, and the other that can, get you even more money, or ease the process through which you do things, take it down 5 more steps. And so I definitely see that as part of a perfect day, where any interactions that you have outside of actual day-to-day business running or whatever, it's always with people who inspire or fire you up, or even if you just call to say hi and they're like, hey, how you doing, but you got to hear this new idea I just had, or this new download I just had. To me, that's empowering, and I think that is what has fueled our relationship and our circle that we have. Is that we're always, there's been times where you've called if you're just in a situation or a spot, and you say, well, let me call because I know Leah's about to go into her damn law of attraction, or she's about to go off on something, you know what I mean? And I think that is so important, and that to me that has fueled me, because the things that I've been able to focus on even in my quote unquote darkest hours there was always, if I was going to take time away from doing that, it had to have been in a conversation or an interaction that was going to fuel and inspire me.
Yeah.
And I think that is part and parcel of the perfect day, that it always includes your interactions are purposeful. They're inspiring. It's your life. And so that's part of what I say, and I did a video on it a while ago where a huge transition happened for me when I transitioned from just living my life day to day to when I began to see myself as the CEO of my own life and the manager of my own life.
That's powerful.
So that therefore my life is the project, and my day to day actions are the things that, you know, I take on, always with the idea that this is going to take me 5 steps further,
right,
in one day span.
That's it.
And so rather than allowing life to handle me, I'm handling life, and I'm taking a very proactive approach,
right,
to everything that I do. And so to me, that powerful. Kind of segues. Well, I want to kind of come back into how long have you been married?
We got married in 2005, and so 13 years. And we started dating, though. I met him probably in '97, but we started dating officially. We went on a date and all that, but we officially came back together in 2000.
Okay.
So a minimum of going on 19 years of just being in a relationship, but married for about 13.
So then my question is, because I had you to do a seminar on this, like, what was it, 5 years ago, 6 years ago? And just very briefly, as we talk about being the CEO of one's life, as we talk about purposefully and intently utilizing our skills and our gifts and the things that we came here to express and display, how we put that to our own benefit. If you can very briefly, because you do have your natural body business, you have your products, you've been very much into superfoods, herbs, and natural products that can enhance our life. How did you tie that in with your relationship? And I know that you went through very specific steps in order to encourage transitioning from dating to engagement.
Yes. So the emphasis behind it and what differentiates us, I think, from what EssenceTree does is that we're really intent on elevating and empowering the whole woman. So her life, her giving her the hair and the skin of her dreams, and we're really intent on that. And so every recipe, we're using nutrient focused ingredients. We are using intentionality behind thinking, like, what was the application of this? What are the realms of possibility that you could do with a product? And so we created this line of gemstone oils. Why? Because gemstone oils are important for anointing, for activating, and just getting into alignment. So again, we're at our best when we're fully empowered and aligned. And with my husband, before we were formally engaged, we had been going through some ups and downs. We had just moved to the South. We were, really having a big role in taking care of my mother-in-law, working with her. So it was just like we were just having these bumps and bruises. And I was like, I know what's going to fix this. Like, we need to get into alignment. You know what I mean? Went created an oil, a gemstone oil. So I think I had peridot and rose quartz and clear quartz. I made a lot of gemstone oils at that time, but the one that I used for him, so the gemstones that we have that are geared towards love would be rose quartz is high for that. For alignment, the spiritual alignment, you want your clear quartz. But peridot is also a really good all body, just sort of synchronicity thing. So I believe that one had the peridot in it, but I know for a fact we have frankincense oil in it, we have rose oil in it, we have some myrrh in it, and some sandalwood. So these love enhancing essential oils. And this is not just hocus pocus. It's not just woo woo. These are vibrational medicines.
Yes.
Aromatherapy is a form of vibrational medicine. Crystal therapy is a form of vibrational medicine. Um, Meditation is a form of vibrational medicine. So all of these are really somewhat scientific ways of handling certain areas of your life. And I created this oil, and I went to him and I said, "Babe, you know, I think we we can be a little bit closer right now. I create this oil for us, and I want us to anoint each other in every morning before you go off to work. And I anoint you, you anoint me, but we'll pray over it together, and then we'll do that, and we're just gonna do that every morning."
And by anointing you mean?
So we got the oil. So it's been a small like roll-on perfume oil bottle. We put our hands together, so both of us would have held our hands over it and prayed that this oil helps us to bring us in closer alignment with our highest and divine selves, but also understanding each other at that higher and divine level. And from there, I took it and basically went down all of his chakras. So we did the 7 chakras. And so at each chakra, I and so we started with, I think I probably started with the crown and went downward. But started with the crown chakra, and so the blessing for that chakra, of course, would be that you're receiving your all of your divine messages, so that you were living in your greatest and highest destiny. You're blessing and activating the first eye chakra, what I call the first eye chakra. That you're able to see clearly your path. You're anointing your throat chakra, that you're speaking words of honesty and clarity and love. Your heart chakra, that your heart is balanced. For him, I always anointed his shoulders because of there's this whole thing of the weight I think that men carry. And again, because we're multitasking and they've not needed to multitask in a way that we have, they feel the weight differently than we do. And maybe it's because we're accustomed to it. I don't know if it's just culturally, but I also think it's physiologically. I read something about how their brain is wired, how male brain is wired differently from female brains, like literally. So that's why it's hard for them to multitask. There's scientific for that. I found that out. I was like, wow. But they feel the weight, I think, a little bit differently. So they have to almost find some healthy. I think as women, we help them to find some healthy ways of dispelling some of the pressure of it all, like whether their mother, their parents are still alive, that pressure, work pressure. And so I always blessed his shoulders. So I would take the oil and anoint his shoulders so that the weight is the burden that he's carrying is lightened and lighter, that he carries whatever responsibilities that God has placed on him with ease and grace. And then we went to his heart. We went down, and you also anoint, in addition to those areas, the 7 chakras. You anoint the palm of their hand so that whatever you're touching is blessed. So did all that for him, the bottom of his feet, so that the path he's walked is safe and protected. That you walk on the protected path of your going back to your greatest and highest destiny. And then he did me. And it doesn't take that long. And the cutest thing in the world, because when he did me, he was always quiet. So I was like, what are you saying? And he's like, shh. And he would do it.
So he wouldn't say anything?
He wouldn't say his out loud. Mine was always out loud. And I just thought that was super cute. I mean, I know he was saying it because I think he felt it. Because when you're intent,
right.
And again, we got to know our power. This is getting back to, we got to know our power.
Feminine power.
Feminine powers. We have the gift of, there's a couple different African proverbs about it, but one is the gift of the calabash. Whatever we speak comes into reality. Another one is just the concept of bara, so that words become things. So in indigenous cultures around the world, they knew that from what a woman said, life would spring, reality would spring.
Right.
And so knowing that we have to speak those words over them, I think that we assist them in a way of handling life stress and everything else. And so he knew that was real deal. Like he felt charged from it. He did the same for me, and we probably did that. I don't know how long it took. It probably like 3 weeks, a month. And next thing I know, the time went so quickly. And next thing I know, he was proposing. Like we were closer. I always felt like it was coming, but it was just like, we started to drift apart, and because of life, and But next thing I know, he was proposing, and again, it wasn't a small ring. And my husband, being the person he is with money, very practical, very whatever. He's not really like a splurge type of guy.
Right.
And so I was like, oh yeah, this is a big deal for you.
Mm-hmm.
This is a big deal for you. And it just like we got so much closer. We laughed. We were loving.
Wow.
It really, I tell you, that's the single most important exercise that I recommend for people in their relationships. Whether you're about to get married or having a little spot of trouble, you do that anointing, and it will get y'all together real quick. Or and whatever, it doesn't
I
have to
love
be that. If you
that.
have a Bible, whatever spiritual system binds
Right.
you all, it's fine. It's the intent of both parties to get in alignment with spirit and each other's, but it really did it. And so yeah.
I think that was so. I thought that was so empowering and powerful for a woman to center herself and understand, like you said, your gifts and what you offer to not only the world but to the people in your life, and being able to take that power in your hand and utilize it, not just know that it's there, but actively utilize it.
Yes.
In order
Yes.
to heal your family. And
Yes.
so,
Yes.
for me, that was very empowering for me, because being a person who's home birth and really took that step to taking personal responsibility for my own health, and stepping outside of the medical, and hospital system. It was a revolutionary moment for me, where I had to switch from thinking about birth in a manner that somebody else is handling this.
Right.
All I gotta do is just show up and go through some birth pains, and then whatever. But taking that entire process into my own hands and being responsible for how
That's
I would go
major.
through about or go through the actual birth process, to me, that was like a rites of passage. Just switching the mind over from somebody else is handling it to now this is my own personal responsibility. And I think that just as you are with natural medicine, for instance, with herbs as much as possible, taking your family's health in your own hands, being proactive about it, being seasonal, knowing that, okay, fall is coming up, so let me
Right.
start brewing these teas,
Right.
or putting this in their baths intentionally. Winter's coming up, let me start adding in that garlic and doing all of that. Okay, now summer's coming up, and just utilizing your feminine arts, the sacred feminine skills and arts that are predominantly make themselves amenable to feminine energy. I think that's also very empowering in life. And that was one of the reasons why, at this stage in my life, where I said I made it very clear from the outset to Eric that if I'm going to engage in a marriage, that it's going to have to include my being able to focus primarily on that.
Yes.
I've done enough of everything else.
Right.
But at this point, I'm not going to be married.
Right.
For me personally, and still be ripping and running and doing this and doing that, and not having time and being at my wits' end and doing. I can do all that by myself.
Right.
So I'm not going to have a man in my life and still be doing all this extra stuff.
Right.
I want to focus on me. I want to focus on the home.
So powerful.
I want to focus on the children. And I also want to focus on you, because I'm going to tell you right now, if I got to be doing all this extra stuff that I'm doing right now, you're not going to be
getting attention.
And you're not about to ask me for it. You're not about to. We're not doing all of that. It's going to be either or.
That's it.
And I'm unapologetic about that. And so him being at the stage where he clearly understood what he did not want, and that he clearly understood being marriage oriented anyway, that he definitely wanted to do it differently this time and make sure, even if you want to call it from a selfish point of view, but he wanted to make sure that he has a feminine energy in his life that has time for him.
That's it.
And so he understood that in order for this feminine energy to have time for me, he needed to do what he needs to be doing and be willing to cover all the financial and everything, the other stuff. If I want to have my own businesses, which he's already also clear on, that I'm always passionate about.
Right.
exploring entrepreneurship and business and money and
Mm-hmm.
focusing on that. But that's on my own time.
Right. Right.
And the bills don't depend on me doing this.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And so the thing that I wanted to ask you is knowing what you know now after several years of being married, being a mother, and being a businesswoman, would you recommend to your own daughter, like when you are thinking about these discussions with her coming up, in terms of now you're going to start getting into the stage where you're considering the opposite sex, you're thinking about your future life, marriage, children, and things of that nature. Would you recommend that she focus on herself and her needs first? In other words, would you be pushing her to do the strong independent woman thing where, she's out here getting this job, getting this marriage, having children, and doing something different than what you've done? Or would you consciously steer her in a direction of making sure that, like yourself, that she centers her life choices around what's most important and valuable to her?
Always, always that second one, about teaching her to take care of herself. And I think with my daughter, I have to push her a little bit beyond her comfort zone, but also try to understand each of us has a different destiny. Some of us came to be those entrepreneurs. Some of us came to be techies, or some of us came to be very different. So with her, I'm seeing that what is being revealed to me at this young age, I don't think that she's going to be yet. Let me see. I don't see it yet. That kind of a little bit. I'm a little bit more hard charging, I think, than she is. So I'm trying to get her to listen to herself. That's what I tell her first and foremost. Center yourself. We did some meditation classes before, and I always want to put her back in meditation classes because it really helped her to calm herself and quiet her anxiety. But whatever it is you choose to do, trying to cultivate that sense of balance where you're taking care of yourself first, because from that everything else flows. Whether you want to get married, whether you want to have children, whatever it is you want to do, kind of letting spirit be your guide, I guess, in that manner, and doing it well. Don't do anything half-assed. Like I just have a pet peeve. Like, come on now, like, don't, you ain't serious. Like, that's just my personal thing. So she'll hear my voice in her ear probably for the rest of her life. Like, my mom would just be like, if I ain't gonna do this right, don't do it.
I know it's right.
So, but in that way, she has to kind of start to learn, and I'm encouraging her now, like finding out how spirit is speaking to you. Beyonce, some people are lucky to know Beyonce was like 8 or 9. Like, some people do know when they're really, really young. So understanding if this is her, like, where's her leaning, her natural leaning seems to be towards. But yeah.
So then, what would you say that you are most grateful for in your life right now? Check. Oops. Just want to make sure nothing is coming up, because sometimes, oops.
I took my son to the park, and when we got home, we found his goldfish died, which is a hard situation. How do you explain autoerotic? Is that a real question?
I think so. Hold on, let me.
Is it?
Oh my god!
No, that was a troll. It said autoerotic asphyxiation, like choking.
Oh Lord!
Yeah,
to a 4-year-old.
That's a troll. You playing around right now. We can't explain that. They don't have no need to learn about that.
What about choking or
autoerotic asphyxiation?
Oh my gosh!
Sexual choking.
All right. So, what are the things that you are most grateful for?
Going back to the thought of, like, my Ori and the destiny that's placed on me, like, I am so grateful for my destiny, even though I saw a lot of pain in my mother's life, and I've probably seen a lot for the first 9 years, but the fact that I had that lesson on me is like you would never take this path because you learned from what the mistakes your parents made. You would never take that path. I'm blessed to have just a good husband. And not that I ever felt I wouldn't, because my dad is a good guy. So I kind of never had that, well, will I be me the good guy or will I want? I just expected to. So I will say I didn't, I did expect to. I just kind of just expected it. But the fact that he's a good dad, like I didn't know that every man could naturally be that way. So I don't know that that figured into the equation. But when I see him and just I'm grateful for even the difficulties we have because he is my catalyst. It's like when you're in these relationships, I think that you're divinely matched up so that they help you to achieve your destiny even more. And for me, the fact that my husband is not very traditional is probably a motivator for me because it made me go deeper into what I was supposed to do anyway, which is make this. It made me understand a little bit more what all of this is really about. Which I was like, okay, my calling has always been for women by women, like that whole thing. And I can still love you and be a doting wife and a doting mother, but recognize that my calling has always been for women by women. So all of this needs to be like maybe a very feminine conversation, and I shouldn't be necessarily dragging my husband like, well, what do you think about this body butter? I mean, until you know what I mean. Until we do more stuff that he can kind of wrap his brain around, which is the techie stuff, and he can do certain things like that. But it helped me. Him being the way he was has been a gift for me to greatly see what I'm here for. And I'm even grateful just for my daughter. Like, and I'm just thinking about, I'm just grateful for so much. Like I said, these last couple of days, I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm like so happy. But I have a lot of clarity now that I think I had to cut loose some things to get that. Right. But I mean, we're always kind of doing our little nips, tucks, everything we need to do to kind of bring it in. But I am happy. I am happy about that. There's some parts in it that, again, I would kind of recommend Maya and other women to probably simplify the goals a little bit more. I feel like for me, it's a hard burden. Sometimes I feel like spirit has placed so much on me that it gets a little bit like, okay, is this supposed to be this lifetime or next lifetime? Like, how am I supposed to do all this? But at the meantime, I'm not supposed to figure it out. I'm supposed to be in a space of allowing, and I think that too is a lesson.
So then how do you, last question, because I think it's very important for women in general, but even those who are marriage oriented or entering into it, how have you structured your friendships in conjunction with your marriage? And in terms of what has been the most healthiest, positive, and proactive things you've done in regards to friends, because sometimes we do need
absolutely
a sounding board,
absolutely,
or whatnot. But then there are certain things that some people learn too late, that certain things you do share, certain things you don't share. Or were you very selective in terms of the types of friends that you keep in your circle, as opposed as a married woman as opposed to a single woman?
A single woman. And I think my friends, I've grown closer once I had children, grown closer to other mothers. And once I got married, grown close to other couples and women who kind of get it. But what was important to me about my single friends, when you got married, it's like it's a whole different kind of sphere of things going on. So sometimes your single friends can detract. Maybe not even, they don't intend to be bad about it. But I think what was important to me in having single friends, and I think this is not the case for every woman, my single friends were not hating on the fact that I had gotten someone because they wanted someone too. But they were supportive and say, I look to you as a goal versus I'm hating on the fact. And I think no disrespect, but sometimes you're single for a long time, you're angry about it.
Yes.
You were angry about it. Why does she get to find a good man and I don't have a good man? So I might have felt that way in other areas of my life, so I don't take nothing from it, but that's a toxic energy that you don't want up close and personal. So I didn't have a ton of them. I had one friend who was in a bad marriage, but luckily she was in another city by that time, so it wasn't like we had to be up close and personal. We're in effect.
Right.
our energy. So we gravitated towards the single friends that were supportive, but I tried to intentionally get with other couples so that we can kind of have that space. And we had a great marriage ministry, funny enough, and not funny enough, but we had a great marriage ministry in Nashville that everybody was like around our age, their kids were around our age. It was perfect if there was anything that was perfect. And I think when we got here, we started looking for churches, but couldn't find ones with really thriving marriage ministries. But now I'm getting some recommendations, so to be continued.
Okay.
But that was one thing about a church that I was like, I would happily join a church for the fellowship and the strength of having like a solid. It has to be progressive church though. It couldn't be like too conservative. And that was a progressive church in Nashville, but the marriage ministry. We would meet and talk about communication issues.
Oh wow.
It was perfect. And you didn't feel like it was a safe space.
Wow.
They did retreats. So that's something that I'm still open towards, and I saw that work really well.
Wow.
That worked really well for us. And so but having that supportive network again of good couples, good healthy couples, and good healthy single friends was very important. And luckily, like my friend Naomi, who was single, looked to us as a model. I'm like, you heard the good, bad, and the ugly, girl. I done shared a lot with you.
Right.
But now you see where I am today.
That's right.
So
now
that you're moving into that space yourself, you can see I left a lot of the ratchetness in the past. So we joke about it now. But I think she got to see what it was and take the mysticism out of it. This is just a relationship. At the end of the day, he's a dude. You're a woman. God is true. King, ma'am. But y'all are two. It's like the X and the Y chromosome coming together and trying to make it work at the end of the day. You know, and so, yeah.
That's powerful because I do know that is, I think that's very, very important. And a lot of women sometimes skip or miss the importance of the energy in the circle that you keep. And the prevailing culture is sometimes not very supportive of positive marriages or relationships and longevity.
Right.
And so if you find yourself acting as if you're still single when you're married, that's not a definitely recipe for some issues, especially if you have girlfriends, like you said, who got some issues or anger or jealousy or whatever else, and you're keeping them in your circle. Lord have mercy. So definitely, I did want to ask you about that. And I think the last question I have, I said the other one was my last one, but we're going to close it out after this. How do you handle disagreements? Or how do you maintain your femininity while in the midst of differences of opinion, so to speak, in your marriage?
I have a strong masculine side, and it took a reading to be like, girl, you come off as so gentle and this and that, but my gosh, like it was a spiritual reading with Tyra. She's like, girl, you got a lot of like strong masculine energy, and I was like, cause she's never seen it. I know you've seen it and everything. So I think that in my best state, and my mother-in-law was one of the ones, whenever we would kind of argue a little bit in front of her, not major, but just a little disagreement, she was like, all right now, Charmaine, like, not just that it was her son, but this is your husband. You are in a public space. No. Right. And I didn't feel any kind of way. I didn't feel like she was like, this is my son, to argue with my son. But just as a wife, this is the journey you chose. And as such, you're kind of carrying yourself as such. So you're not going to belittle his manhood. You're not going to. You allow him to, and give him that space, because I've seen it the other way where women who got married young, most of us, a couple of us got married, like got with these men in our 20s. So she would bring him down in public. We all had to witness that, and I was embarrassed for him. Right. And I know how we are. We got that strength to us as women. So I think again, it's that balancing act. And I'm not saying he didn't do anything wrong. I'm sure nobody's saying you got crazy for no reason. But it was a little inappropriate. And I think that what I'm learning today is like, okay, all right, I'm going to allow sometimes you to maybe have the last word, where there was a time in which I didn't.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I may come back later. If it's not nothing that would really bother me, if something bothers us, I'm not saying lie.
Right.
I'm not that type. Be authentic.
Right.
So if it bothered me, then I'm like, okay, we're going to end this now. And if we can't come to a conclusion, then I'm going to resurface when we've had the time to breathe a little bit and calm down. I'm like, okay, now the other day you really said something that bothered me. And I'm just trying to get some understanding. But if it's not too big, like I'm learning now to let a lot of things, just like if it's not going to be a big deal, I'm not making it a big deal. And so like today there was something that happened, something small, like he was concerned about something and I was on the phone with some company.
Right.
And I'm like, dude, like, are you really trying to have a conversation with me
and
when I'm on the phone? So he like slammed the door.
Oh Lord.
So afterwards I was like, made a joke about it.
Right.
So you're mad at me for being on the phone, and when I point out the obvious and I'm on the phone and you're trying to have a conversation,
right.
you get mad at the door. So
right.
You make a joke about it, you make light of it, but I gave him his space. I wasn't calling him up like, how dare you slam the door?
Right.
And I'm being extreme, but sometimes that ego play is really big. And I know I have a lot of ego just for the matter of me kind of being in this business space. I don't think it's not bad ego, but I think it's healthy ego. And he has his, and so, but there's different things that I want to do, because I know the power with which that's in me, and I don't want it to be a cutting power. I don't want it to chop him off at the knees power. So I'm not going to be submissive, but at that moment I may decide that, okay, what you say, and then later bring it up at a time where he's had the chance to be less defensive about it, or I had the chance to be less passionate about it, because I think that keeps the peace.
Right.
And I remember talking to a guy, he's Babalawo, and he was like, why is it that men get married? You don't need to get married to have children. You don't need to get married to love someone. You can love someone and have a child with them and not be married, but you get married to have peace in your household. So there's this whole thing of like what a wife brings to the table for them. He was more traditionalist. So he would go out and bring home the bacon and expect that he comes home to the peace that his wife offers from the outside world. And I thought that's powerful, because he asked me what I thought, and I was like, I think they're there to help you fulfill your destiny, because I see that's what Kenneth does. And it's a little bit of both.
Wow.
But saying that to say that they don't have to marry you.
Right.
There's nothing that says he has to put a ring in your finger. He can still support you with alimony. There's nothing to say he has to stay married to you. And I'm only saying that to say that marriage is hard enough. And that's why I tell my husband, it's hard enough just living with a human being day in and day out for the rest of your life.
Yes.
They were raised totally different. You were raised, etc. It's hard enough. So the best thing you can do for your peace of mind, your children's peace of mind, your household peace, is to really be light with it, have fun with it, and let your femininity and beauty be the driving force, and not the will to, like, he ain't gonna disrespect me. Well, chances are, I don't know, I just can't imagine, why is he putting a ring in your finger if he's gonna disrespect you? Like, to me, is he really disrespecting you, or you just felt in that moment? Now, don't get me wrong, some men say some things, and my husband is not any different. It's probably through the course of our marriage, I could probably count on one hand. It'd probably be like 1, 2, max 3 things that he said that I felt was disrespectful. They were more hurtful and said out of anger. And so we kind of had to kind of work through that. Like, okay, like, that was kind of mean. We should not laugh about it now, because
well, clearly you are.
But it was kind of things, like, in some of this stuff, it was like kind of mean, like things.
But it's not. You can laugh about it now, because that clearly means that y'all talked it through.
We talked it through. Yeah,
it's not a wound.
No, not at all. Not at all. And I think that there's things that I've said out of anger. So I think, but I never said to him, like, when you have your boyfriends, you said some really vile stuff, like. And that's why so-and-so, and so I understand, this is your husband. Right. This is not your boyfriend in college. This is not your whatever. This is your husband. And again, you have to look him in the eye to eternity.
Yes.
Basically. So
yes.
I don't want to, I'm very careful about the energy and the seeds that I'm sowing into my space because I don't want a space of conflict and anger. I want a space of harmony, balance, and peace. So I want to be intentional about what I'm planting into that environment. So yeah.
I love it. Well, that's why I love to engage with um, women who've been married, successfully for some time, because I definitely know that there are things that um, I definitely need to grow in experiencing this next go round. That I don't want it to be something that is um, temporary. This is it. And so I think it's very, very important for women to make sure that they're very intentional, not only about their relationship, not only about their personal presentation and growth and intentional living, but also about their relationships that they encircle their primary relationship with. So that reminds me a lot of, Sabanpu Some's book. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. What was that book, In the Spirit of
Intimacy or something like that?
Spirit of Intimacy. Oh, Lord, that is such a beautiful.
And I never read that book of hers. And I'm so upset because I wanted her to be at that dinner table. So she transitioned way too early for me. I
know.
I'm very upset
what
about
in the
it
world?
all.
What in the world? So,
but I love her. I read another of her books.
Yes.
For her, she's amazing.
She's absolutely amazing. And that is an absolutely very, very powerful book, in the Spirit of Intimacy. And so I'll try to link that in the description box later, because I know that there are several women who will be watching this later because they have things going on right now. So I definitely want to have that prepared for them. Well, I so thank you for sharing this time with me, sitting on this couch.
Yes.
And I think we're going to have a few more conversations before I transition into moving away from Atlanta. But I definitely wanted. I think we had talked about this years ago, where I said I wanted to do some talks with fellow women entrepreneurs, going to different establishments, and talking with women who are in that. So I'm going to try to fast forward that before I can always do it anywhere, but there are so many women that I definitely wanted to include in the circle of discussion prior to leaving town, but even though I'll be back regularly. But I thank you so much. Again, this is Miss Charmaine with EssenceTree. Yes. Holistic Life. And so I do have the links, and I'll put the links to her company, to her products. She has a wealth of knowledge, and I know eventually, as time permits, she'll probably be getting back into your spiritpreneur seminar. She does have a group of ladies who are, consultants with her business in terms of what's the name of that? Going out and selling. Not distributors, but
similar to multi-level marketing. But they are consultants. Beautiful life specialists is what we call them, because we're training them to be leaders, educators, healers, and of course builders of generational wealth. And so we're starting that whole, we're taking in some new people on a case by case basis, but we're restarting it in probably February or March. We'll kick off with a new training.
Right. And so these are ladies who definitely take on the training of the herbs and the oils and the benefits to life, and then they go out and sell the products in their communities. They sell EssenceTree products. So that's a boost to their income. Women who want a second source of income, or stay-at-home moms who definitely want something in keeping with their own energy, that they don't have to go out and build a whole new business by themselves, but they go and share these products in their circles and get income from that on their end. So I love that program as well, and it's very, very exciting, the things that are coming down the pipeline in the future. So at any rate, ladies, thank you all so much. For those who are present now, who've been in and out, I know you've got busy lives, and so that's why I wanted to record this, because we can always come back to this. And listen to the replays. We've had several sisters who had things going on, traveling and whatnot, but definitely wanted to follow this once they get in a space where they can sit still. And so, peace and blessings to all of you all. Again, this is Leah Love. And if you feel that this discussion and conversation on marriage, on life, on being a woman in business was beneficial to you or to someone that you know, please do share, subscribe, hit your notifications button as well. And I'll put links to Charmaine, how to contact her for more information, as well as how to contact me. Again, if you're interested in the Level Up Charm School group, she's also in our group. She's come in and done lives on self-care, which was very, very powerful. And we definitely want to have her come in again because she's an expert at spiritual baths, at self-care routines that includes really taking care of your skin and your body and your hair on a day-to-day basis. So wealth of knowledge and information. So we're going to close this out, ladies, and I do hope to have her back. And did you have any last words?
Should we tell them about the sale if they listen to it? Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
If you, of course, as Leah mentioned earlier, if you're members of the Level Up Charm School, there's a everyday evergreen discount that you get as a part of membership. In addition to that, right now we are offering our last sale of the year, which is a 2 for $25 sale, which is a little bit steep, especially because with 2019 we will be having a price increase. And
right.
These collections here are $5 off. Ooh. And then you can choose any two oils of your choice for the $25. And I'll give Leah the link to put in here, but it's bit.ly sacred oil sale, and we have whole body oils, we have face care oils, we have hair care oils, we have those gemstone oils we were talking about, so you can get your love life more in sync in the way that you want it with some gemstone oils and the whole body oils too. They make marvelous massage oil. So my husband has been blessed with a more love and inner peace oil massages and baths. I make some nice baths and add some oil to it, and they will be forever under your charm. So
yes,
definitely check that out. EssenceTree.com under Skin and Spirit and Gifts. The 2 for $25 sale is already set up, so you don't need a discount code. You can just go and take a look at that.
Okay.
And join our newsletter.
Oh, absolutely.
And be sure to join the Level Up Charm School because there's so many good nuggets in that group. So many good nuggets in that group. It's an amazing resource.
Absolutely. So. And in fact, you made me think about the fact that that's part of why I've really been enjoying this channel. And I wanted to really share as I transition from this life into the next segment of life, is that I will have the time and the energy and the internal resources to really get back to some of my rituals. And so I'm definitely going to be, as you said that, I realize I'm going to be creating some rituals that I will be able to share with you on your Instagram.
Absolutely.
Here on this channel in terms of couple rituals, in terms of enchanting your partner, keeping yourself present and your energy, like you were talking about, the peace and all the femininity that's why they're engaging with you, not to be with another man, but to be, in terms of a heterosexual relationship. But if they are in that, then they want that energy, your feminine energy. So that's going to be primary again, which is why I said, I want this lifestyle. I'm not looking to stay with a man and still be working 40 plus hours and exhausted and doing all this extra stuff. So that's the life I desire, and is you is or is you ain't. No,
that's it. But then you need to be of same accord.
Absolutely. And so that's something that really fires me up, is thinking about not only the rituals that will enhance my life, but the rituals that will enhance his life individually, as well as enhance our relationship life. So there's 3 different entities here, each of us individually plus the third, which is the relationship. And so creating these rituals and then sharing them with you all, I'm excited about that, because there's one thing I love is creating some rituals. So we're going to close this out. We're going to eat some dinner and enjoy our evening. And yes, we're going to enjoy some dinner. Thank you. Yes, thank you, sis.
Yes, please like the video.
And please share. And we are out. Peace and blessings.
Thank you guys so much. Bye.